take a walk with me, not like you used to do. Do something different and put yourself in other people's shoes. Open up your mind and open up your eyes and change your direction, change your perspective.
Welcome in to Other People's Shoes. As you know, I am your host, Neil Matthews. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you're excited because I am. I feel always when we're in an area sometimes we're in rival country. You know, I feel like sometimes the spies of old. Now, who am I referring to? Those spies that went into like the land of Canaan and they kind of spied it out and they're like, listen, we can take them. We can master that land. Well, today I feel like that with our guest today because I think we have, in some respects, mastered her area. She is in the metropolis area, or maybe even the graduate of the Louisville Cardinal. And so I hope you will welcome my guest in today. She came on a little maybe reluctant because she's like, oh, you're a Tar Heel. I don't know if I can let that go. Help me welcome in my new friend, Kayla. Kayla, how are you today?
I'm good. My heart was a little broke, but I'm fine now. I'm good.
There is a song that could help with that. A few, I'm sure, like Unbreak My Heart, My Heart Will Go On.
That one's good. I'm good with that.
I'm thinking of some other Celine Dion's and I'm drawing a blank right now. That Up Close and Personal one was pretty good. Her and Robert Redford. Yep. I don't know that one very good off the top. Anyway, how are you today? You're still good?
I always say I'm peachy. I'm perfect. I'm feeling good. I'm awake. I'm alive and kicking, as I like to say. So I'm here.
Now, you did mention kind of in our green room area, which I always love, that you're near Elizabethtown. Now, I got to be honest, that kind of perked my ears a little bit because my wife is in Elizabeth.
Huh.
And so cool. You mean to tell me in Kentucky, there's a whole town that is named after her, Elizabethtown. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yes. Okay. She may have in her past life like named it and just didn't realize that it was there.
Okay, so if I went there, would they like in any way honor her, have parades for her, shirts maybe that say Elizabethtown or anything like that?
I think we need to look into that. I need to name a town after myself. So yeah, we need to work on that.
Out here, there's a little community called Talent, and they used to have, and I don't know if they still have it because I was a kid, they had the Bob, B-O-B, Bob Festival. And so anybody named Bob would be honored. And now that's Robert, that's Bobby, that's, whatever form of Bob we can get to, they would honor them. And I just thought maybe we could petition perhaps or start a campaign.
Right. We have to try that.
My wife would be absolutely embarrassed. She would never go. I think we could do it for Neil. Like I would be very humbled to be the Grand Marshal if they had like a Neil town. But anyway, all right, back to you.
I want to throw candy at people. So it's just...
That's fun, right? Let's just chuck candy, Tootsie Roll, Jolly Ranchers at people. Jolly Rancher to the head for a 4-year-old. It's fine. You can recover from that. It's all good. So I'm curious about this for you as we get into our time together. Now, I got to ask this question because I think it's important. We got to establish the foundation, really. And this is really the foundation of the show. And that's this. What style of shoe do you love to wear?
Comfort, casual. Comforting shoes right now. I'm all about no high heels right now. I just need comfortable shoes. I have a toddler, so I don't need platforms. Like I just need tennis shoes.
Now, why do you need those comfort shoes?
Because he won't stop running. There's no walk. There's just run all the time.
So would you say you had some running shoes, some like Asics shoes, or is there a brand or style with these comfort? Because again, let me just be candid here for a sec. I'm a dude. I'm proud that I'm a dude. All these people that, and I'm going a little political, perhaps maybe a little early for that. All these people that want to change, like I don't understand. Truly, I don't. On so many levels. Because as a guy, I'm like, you girls go through so much work to look presentable. I don't care who you are. Most girls don't just like roll out of bed, throw on a shirt, put on a hat, and you're good.
That's right.
I don't know a lot of girls that do that. I'm just saying, like, guys, if you're wanting to do that, fine, but get everything that comes with it.
That's right.
And with that, there's always a shoe that trying to be described to me, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So help me with that. Comfort, help me more a little bit, if you don't mind.
Well, that's a really good question. I've never thought about my shoes so much. Really, I love shoes, but I don't really have a specific brand. I'm all about, like I said, just comfort shoes. I guess the first one that pops in my head is just a white old lady canvas shoe because I just need like those slide shoes that can go in and can come right off if I just need to throw them away for a minute. Like I don't need the special ties or the special bow or the special color. No, I just need the white old lady shoe. That's what I'm going to call it. My grandma done it right.
I'm officially writing that down. Nobody's ever described it as the white old lady canvas shoe. So that's what you're wearing, and we're going with that. So, all right, we'll press forward. Help me with this, because for me, when I start thinking about seasons, I don't know what happens to my mind. I don't know what God puts on my heart. I do think it is a little Holy Spirit driven. I do think it is a little reflection, sadly, of sometimes where my life is. Maybe if I'm in a search moment, like we had a season called Search, where I was kind of searching for some answers and looking for some answers. You know, we had another season where perseverance was involved, and I remember that time period, and I was kind of trying to persevere some stuff, and it's weird how that works out. And I've had musical artists say, you know, I remember this one song because I knew where I was when we were writing said song. And I'm like, okay, so it's not just me. So the reason why I ask this is because this walk away moment people have. I have a lot of them. And I'm embarrassed to admit that. I know you're not my counselor or my pastor or whatever, but I am a little embarrassed to say that because there have been times that I've had to walk away. Maybe it was a relationship. Maybe it was a moment. Maybe it was a bad behavior. Maybe it was, I still think there's that one moment I need to walk away from, and that's chewing my nails. So maybe we could start a campaign for that as well. Speaking of campaigns again.
We'll do that too. In Elizabeth.
Because that's a tough one to walk away from. I say all that. For you, do you have that walk away moment? And if so, maybe walk us through that.
So mine's going to go about my past with having an eating disorder. That was my biggest walk away moment. I was scared because I didn't know what that was going to look like. I had anorexia and binge eating for 10 years. And I constantly counted calories, and I constantly was worried about food and how I looked and self-esteem and body image and all that. And then I started having panic attacks. So that's kind of, I always say, my wake up call in a way, just to wake me up and just, I'll say, smell the roses. This is my Kentucky coming out. All my little phrases, but really it's my moment of just, I've got to do something in order to not be afraid of going out to eat or not being afraid of Christmas with my family because I had to bring Kayla's food on the table. Like I just wanted to feel normal, and normal is different for everybody, but just I wanted to feel not scared, and not just with food, but just in life in general. I think it trickled down to other things in my life, and just really walking away from that was the most freeing thing that I've ever did. At the time, like I said, I was scared. I didn't understand what I was going to do. That led me to what I do today.
I'm going to just be honest. When I hear of eating disorders, when I hear of young ladies, and I know it can be men as well, but it seems more prominent maybe in young women.
It is, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think of Tracy Gold. I think that's her name. Do you remember her from Growing Pains?
My mom told me about her and Miss Carpenter. I don't know. I can't think of her. Is it Jill or something Carpenter, the singer?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I think you're right on that.
Yeah.
Tracy Gold specifically comes to mind because she was, I mean, I don't know. You don't have to tell us how old you are, but I'm 42. So, you know, you referenced Spice Girls. So I'm thinking you got to be.
I'm 33. I'll say it.
Kind of close. I was like, kind of close to me. If you're talking Spice Girls in the green room, we were talking about that. For me, like I also think of supermodels. You know, I think of those really skinny girls that are, you know, modeling Gap jeans. And what was the thought process of what you were trying to get to?
I was trying to, honestly, I'll say, be like everybody else at that time. Kind of like that girl in Model Magazine, or it was before Facebook and selfies, during MySpace mostly, but really just wanting to look like someone that I wasn't. I wanted to be smaller because I thought I could have a better boyfriend and get into all the things at school. Or I played softball, so I wanted to be just like the other softball girls. I wanted to run faster. I wanted to bat better. I wanted to catch better, pitch better, all that stuff. And then it just kind of trickled down into like the comparison traps is that's my start. And then honestly, it just trickled down into the anorexia and the binge eating, and then hiding things from my family and people that I loved, and just depression and anxiety and all that just overlapped after I started dieting. It started with a diet. That's where mine began, wanting to lose weight.
I don't know a lot about this. I'm just gonna be honest.
That's fine. Yeah.
But I do know sometimes it involves vomiting. Sometimes it involves, again, where you're eating food, but then immediately you're vomiting back up again because you don't want to have that in you. And it's this cycle that you get into. Do you remember the first time you started recognizing I got to change something about me, and maybe walk us back through those steps if you're willing? Like, I mean, I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to go do this bad habit. I'm going to go have this, I'm going to do things that might wreck my marriage. Sometimes it happened over time. And so I had to get with people that said, hey, here are ways that you can, fix things. Here are ways you can, do that. So maybe walk us through those those moments, if you don't mind.
Well, my eating disorder started when I was 15. I'll just be open about everything on the diet side. So that started with me reading a book, really just reading about the South Beach diet. I still see that. I say the name because ain't nobody got time to lie about that. Like, I just did not understand what diet food was because I grew up in a family that never really dieted. I know some people have that mom or their parent that kind of tells them, no, my parents didn't do that. I know that I found a diet book one day and I was kind of interested because it said lose belly fat first. And I was like, ooh, that's kind of something, I could do that. I could lose that little spare tire around my jeans or whatever. And I could do that. And it said, lose up to 14 pounds in 2 weeks. And then it started telling you, different foods that you could eat, different things you should eat, different things you shouldn't eat. And it kind of put that label on foods. And it kind of said, you're not supposed to have fruit for 2 weeks because of the sugar. And then I failed the first several times that I tried it. Like, I tried that diet several times. And then eventually I made it through the first 14 days. And then I started going into the next phase. They call them phases, phase 1, 2, and 3, and all these things. And then after the second phase, I realized I wasn't losing it fast enough. So I just started skipping meals. So I just thought, oh, well, if I'm going to continually lose weight, I'm going to try to skip lunch. So I wouldn't eat at lunch at school, or I would, my parents would come home and I would, if I did eat, it was something that was like George Foreman grilled chicken and steamed veggies. Like, it was nothing that my mom would fix. It was only diet food and Kayla's food. And then after that, I just wouldn't eat. So the anorexia started coming in because I was skipping sometimes a week without eating anything. I would go and drink Diet Coke or water, but I wasn't actually eating. And then on the other end, after the week of not eating, I would binge eat because I wasn't eating, and I was constantly eating at nighttime when everybody was asleep. I was hiding food. Like, it's embarrassing, but it's the truth. Like, it's hard to know now. Looking back, I'm like, wow, I really hid everything. I hid the candy bars, I hid the cookies, I hid the gas station stops for ice cream and whatever else because I was too ashamed to tell people. And that was, for 10 years. Like I said, I was 15 when I started dieting, and then the dieting and the overexercise and all the binging and anorexia, that lasted until I was 25. So yeah, here fairly recently is when I started going through recovery about 7 years ago.
I really, truly believe this. I think ladies have a harder time nowadays,
yes,
more than ever, with body image, self-esteem, things of that nature. Let's be candid here. Again, we're putting our cards on the table. I have a 15-year-old young lady just down the hall. I worry about her body image, what people will say about it, how people will pick it apart. She is going to be living in an era that I never was around. I didn't have Facebook when I was in high school. Thank God. I didn't have Instagram selfies, stories when I was in high school. Again, thank God. I don't even think I knew what MySpace was till I was probably out of high school. We just had mean kids. Now we call it bullying. Didn't know that back then. Was probably a part of a lot of that, by the way. Self-confession here. I do know just from girls that I talked to back in the day that I remember even hearing about this, that they were so worried about somebody liking them, so worried about what they looked like, how they looked. And I don't think we as a guy understand that on any level. Am I wrong in that, or maybe speak to that
No.
in your own mind? Okay.
I think you're fine. I think a lot of people still don't really. I know it's a mental disorder, really, and a lot of people don't understand what's going on. A lot of people didn't understand what I was going through. Like, there was times that I was super small and times that I looked, I'll say, normal again, because there was times that, since I hid everything, no one really knew what was going on in my head. And you said your daughter growing up in a different era with selfies and everything, and that's huge now. Like, there's times that I'm glad I didn't have Facebook, because that would have made the comparison traps even worse, really, because I was constantly connected. We're always in a connection world, connecting through somewhere, someplace, somehow, which is good and bad. A lot of times that could make comparison traps and those types of things worse, really. But no, I don't think people understand the mental side of the eating disorder. My dad, my boyfriend, my husband now, and they still don't. They didn't understand that I didn't know how to stop eating at one point. They didn't understand that I was too afraid to go out to dinner. Why? It's just food. So they didn't understand that extent of the eating disorder. So yeah, I think you're right about that.
What would have been the danger for you if you didn't stop? Have you ever let yourself go there? I know it's a big maybe what if.
Well, I had several suicidal thoughts sometimes. So one time I was really depressed and I was like, well, I had a really bad suicidal thought. And I just remember telling my husband about it, and he was like, what? Like, why? Like, there's too many people here that love you. And he was so mad at me. And of course, I don't think he didn't really get it, but I told him about it, and he was just like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? And I don't know, that was a really low moment for me. I don't know, that was a selfish moment, really. really, honestly, it was a selfish moment because I thought, well, at that time I thought no one liked me. And you going back to what you said about being liked, that was another thing that was hard for me. Like I wanted everybody to like Kayla, and I thought I had to be perfect. I thought I had to be perfect in school, or had to be perfect for everybody except for myself. Like I was super hard on myself, but I had to be perfect for everybody else. I'm not perfect now, and I love it. So I'm cool with not being perfect.
But Kayla, what leads you down that road where you look at your life, you look at who you are? When did you really start recognizing and maybe playing that comparison game, which no one wins? You don't win that game of playing comparison. When did that really start for you?
Even though I started dieting at 15, I would say middle school, 6th, 7th grade. And sometimes looking back, think about I was always thinking I was the bigger cousin. Like I'm the only child. I don't have any brothers or sisters, but I would hang out with my cousins and I always felt bigger than her. Or I would hang out and, she was shopping for certain clothes and I couldn't wear those clothes. Like how come I couldn't? There was a time that there was a place called Fashion Bug. I don't know if they even still exist at different places. It was a department store that we got school clothes from. And I know they had this little modeling tryout, they call it. I don't know. It was just, you wore their clothes, you walk down this, or, the little carpet. I don't know. I see it in my head, but you walk down, you try on their clothes, you have a comfortable clothes and then like a dressy clothes, and they pick like 10 girls to be in that show. So my cousin wanted to do it, another girl wanted to do it, and of course I was like, well, yeah, I'll do it. Well, we shopped and I had to get bigger clothes, and I hated that moment. Like I still did this show because I was like, yeah, let's try it, I've never done this, but I felt bigger than them, and I hated that moment, and I didn't like myself at all. And that was 7th grade. So I would middle school for me is when it really kind of hit at first.
You hated that moment.
I hated it.
And from then on, you thought, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to do what I can to control this. Because again, you're seeing others around you that look different than you are.
And I was mad because, of course, in middle school, you're going through all the things. But I was mad because I was like, why do I have to sweat? Like, I was mad because I was sweating. And that was so silly. But I was like, why? I'm playing softball, but like, oh, I'm sweating too much. I'm in middle school. And I don't know. It was just something else that I started noticing. I was like, why do I have to sweat? We went to a school dance in middle school. And I was like, why am I sweating? Nobody's going to dance if I sweat. Like, nobody's going to dance with me. It was just little things like that I look back now and I'm like, that was so stupid. But at the time, it felt so real and it felt hard.
You ever go to the grocery store and look at those magazines and compare yourself to those girls on the cover too?
Yeah, at the time it was like J14 magazine. I don't know if that's still a thing now. And like teen something. I can't remember, but my mom.
Teen Bop, maybe? That sounds right.
It had
Teen Beat.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas was like the middle school crush. And, I don't know what year that was, 2000 something. That was on the front of all those magazines. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. I want those. Yeah, I would look in those magazines and compare myself and think, oh, could I be like her? Could I look like that? Oh, could I wear that makeup? Because I did not know how to put on makeup. Like it was either really black mascara or I thought it was cool to wear clear mascara. Well, that's just stupid. But hey, at the time, that's what I did. And I just didn't know how to look like that. But I wanted to try really hard to dress like that, to look a certain way.
I came across this statement. I'm just wanting to get your thoughts on it. Fake people have an image to maintain. Real people just don't care.
I love that. I like that a lot. The reality is like going back to the perfection thing, nobody's perfect. And I had to really start loving my imperfections and like loving that I may be really bubbly one day and really not the next. But most of the time I'm bubbly. And some people may not like that. They may be Debbie Downers all the time. Well, I just need to not be around those people because that's not who I am. But I had to start noticing like to love myself. I had to love everything, love my frizzy curly hair. When it rains outside, it gets really big. And I had to love that. I had to learn that black mascara is not the end of the world if I don't know how to wear it every day, because I'm sure not wearing makeup right now. So I don't know. It's just the little things that I had to start. And it didn't happen overnight. Like looking back, talking about the middle school and the high school and through college and all that. And it's still a journey. It's been, I'll say 7 years, but within the last 3 to 4 have I truly been more recovered. And that's, because recovery's up and down. I see all my middle school days in my head now. Now I'm thinking about going to the middle school dances but it was a rough time, but it was also some of the things that actually embarked me to be better now.
So as a parent, you guys have kiddos. Did that mess with you at all?
Yeah, so it didn't really bother me, luckily. I knew I had to gain weight. Like I was scared at first. Not so much about the weight, but was what was really going to happen to me. Like I didn't know that part. Like what is it really going to feel like or look like? I'm thankful that I was so far into recovery that it actually helped me. It actually helped me heal in a different way. Like actually really appreciate my body for what it can do and what it's actually doing. And then even after I had my kid, I was like, wow, that's crazy that your body can do all that and go back and then live life and do all the things so quickly, really. And I'm grateful for that. Honestly, more thankful for my body.
I just didn't know if that maybe put you back into a spot where you didn't want to be, because again, you're looking at your body and you're going, man, I'm just, you know, whatever. And
no, it's fine. I think a lot of it just goes back to like just realizing I had something inside of me bigger than myself, really, to be able to realize that, yeah, I'm eating for two people. And one night, if I wanted to eat a Philly cheesesteak, and one night I wanted a salad, like now I do intuitive eating, and that's something I've done in my recovery. But that's really something that I didn't really stress about, was gaining weight. Like there were times I'm like, oh, wow, I'm, you know, having to wear a lot of stretchy pants. I actually kind of like that. It was during the fall and it was perfect. And I'll go back to my Mamaw shoes. Maybe that's why I still like my grandma shoes. So
did you call them Mamaw shoes?
Mamaw.
How does one spell that? Just
yeah, MAW. We'll hashtag that in the show notes somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Mamaw shoes.
Yes.
I've never heard of that. That's fun. Good stuff. That's why I love people from other parts of the country. I get educated on vernacular and vocabulary words, which I'm terrible at spelling. So hopefully they don't make the spelling sheet. Kayla, for you, you know, obviously you seem like you're in a better place.
Yeah.
You seem like you've kind of come through, you know, the valley of the shadow of death, some would say. What was that darkest moment? What was that moment that you're like, this is now my life. I need help?
So with the panic attacks, because they kind of came out of nowhere, I just remember being on my back porch one day and they would just pop up. You know, it was just a really, really strong anxiety, couldn't breathe, felt like I was having a heart attack type of feeling. It's really hard to describe, but that's kind of, I couldn't breathe. And I didn't know when it was going to happen. And when it happened, it scared me really bad because no one was there but me. So I called my mother-in-law. She was off work. She's retired. So she was able to come up there and just kind of sit with me for, I don't know, a good 20 minutes until I could actually calm down. And I think that I'm glad she was there because she said, Kayla, she's very blunt. And she said, what are you doing? Are you going to live like this forever? Even though maybe that was harsh for some people, that was just like kind of, it felt judgy almost. But at that time, I probably needed to be judged because I didn't want to wake up, really. Those were going on, but I didn't really want to. And then after she kind of said, you know, why are you doing this? I wanted to have a kid. I couldn't have a kid. At the time, you know, I just recently had gotten married and I didn't want to live like that forever. I know if we were going to have a date night, I couldn't have a date night normally because I was too scared to go somewhere. And I couldn't do that. And I couldn't go to vacations because I hated vacation. Like I was afraid I would gain weight on vacation or not look good in a bikini if I was going to go to the beach. So I knew that I couldn't feel good. And the panic attacks made it, I guess, that much more worse. So whenever she was able to kind of slap me in the face, if you want to say that almost with her words, it made me think I need to do something different.
Help me understand this maybe. Did others know that this was going on, but maybe didn't know how to help? Or were you just really good at hiding it and then somebody kind of caught you?
They knew, but they didn't know all of it. So they would know bits and pieces, but I would hide so much. I was really good at hiding it. So like the panic attacks, no, I couldn't really hide those if they were in broad daylight. Like those just came about. But everything else, I would just hide it. I would just internalize it and just not share what was really going on. Or I would share a little, but not everything.
So you really got two things that you're battling or that you're trying to keep under the bed. I would say under the bed because as a kid, that's where everything went. Shoved everything under the bed. Nobody knew it was under there. So one day my mom moved the bed and found frozen concentrated apple juice that was stuck to the carpet. They had to actually like literally cut it out because, you know, anyway, I would eat those. I don't know why, but seemed like good idea. Super terrible for you. Or orange juice, one of the two. So you said some knew, some didn't. How do you feel now being around those people? Do you feel like they trust you? Do you feel like you've earned that right in their life to speak truth to them? Or do they in any way feel, and I know you're speaking for them in some respects, but you know them, maybe you know that you've earned that right back again, if that makes sense.
I think a lot of that was my family. So it's weird to think that I would even lie to my family so many times is because we're really close. Now, my mom says that she blames herself and I tell her, you know, it's not her fault. It took a while to tell her everything because she didn't, like I said earlier, she just didn't get it. And she wanted to, and I think she wants to still. She just thinks she didn't know what to do. So I think she has a lot of respect for me now. It's just at the time she just didn't know really what to do. And same thing for other people in my life, like my mother-in-law. She was there when I was going through all that. Of course, she didn't know either. Like she said, I wanted to tell you to eat, but you wouldn't listen. I wanted to tell you to do, you know, this and that, but you didn't do it because you're so hard-headed. Because I am by nature. I'm super stubborn. So I think they probably have more respect for me now that I've honestly been open about it and I'm able to talk to them about it. Yes, that's the best I can say on that question.
Would the middle school you recognize the adult that you are today?
No, I wouldn't think that. I would be proud of myself, but I wouldn't think it would really exist. You know, I thought I would be stuck forever at that time. I thought I would not be able to live without fearing calories forever. I didn't know what that felt like. For so long, I didn't know that it was okay to wear my grandma's shoes in public. Like, I didn't know, I didn't know that I could be so strong and how free it feels to be recovered, really. I didn't think that was possible at the time.
What would you say to her, that middle school you?
Really, I love you. I love you, and I want you to love you because you're amazing. You got a kind heart. You love people. You like helping people. You have a lot going on for yourself. You're smart. You're funny, kind of quirky. So embrace that. I wrote a Dear Me letter to myself several times. That's something I kind of like to do, is just write out my thoughts and journal and just write to my future self, and then also just a Dear Me letter to my old self.
That's interesting. I had to do that recently, actually, in a group where I had to write a future Neil letter.
I've done that with clients before too.
Which I thought was weird. First experience I'd ever had with that. And I was like, man, that was really hard to do. Mm-hmm. So to help, what we're talking about is a letter that you would write to your old self. I think Mercy Me made the song pretty famous, Dear Younger Me, which is a fantastic song. But we're saying also you can also write a Dear Future You and what you hope to be accomplishing in the future.
Yes.
Hey, this is where you want to be. I'm going to ask you to put on your coaching hat for a minute because I know that's in your wheelhouse and that's what you're kind of passionate about these days. But our research department told me that you're into coaching now. So I know maybe she's a little young for you. But if my 15-year-old came to you and said, Kayla, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to talk to my mom and dad, and I'm battling with this. Or maybe she's in her 20s now, and she started to discover, eating disorders and hurting herself and having all these bad thoughts and suicidal ideation, I think is what it's called. What help and what advice would you give?
Even if it's hard, talk to somebody. That's the best thing, is because I didn't talk for so long and I kept it a secret mostly as best as I could. I'm sure, there were times that people assumed things, but as best that I could, I didn't talk to anybody. So for her to just really find someone to talk to, and maybe it's not your parents to begin with, but find a network of people, a school counselor, I'd say a close friend, but really go above that. Just find someone that you can trust and start talking. It doesn't have to you don't have to share everything all at once unless you want to, but just find someone that you can trust and talk to. That would have helped me so much, is just really being open about it, what I was really going through and how it felt, or what was going on that brought that feeling on. Like, maybe somebody did tease me at school and I needed to tell somebody instead of just keeping it to myself, being super hard on myself. That's my first step, is talking, even if it's hard, because it is hard.
I think it's interesting too that there's this quote you gave us. It says, "You were born an original, don't die a copy." Why is that so important to you? I mean, there's lots of amazing quotes out there, and that's a pretty good one. I'm going to be honest, that's a really good one. But why for you is that so important?
Just because just because I had a hard time being original, we'll say, had a hard time finding who I was and loving myself and really going back to the comparing myself to others. That's not original. I wanted to be like somebody else. I was born here, Kayla, and I was born to be Kayla. I wasn't born here to be Amber or whoever, Brittany or whoever else. I was Kayla for a reason. I just want to embrace all of Kayla, the flaws and all. And just, I don't want to die a copy, because it would just, life would be really boring if we were all the same. I think it would be, there might be similarities, which are fine. But if we were all the same, I feel like it would just be boring. So I really like that quote, to be yourself and to be original.
If someone's hearing you right now and they have a young lady in their life, or maybe even a young male, I don't know. But again, I think statistically speaking, we're saying girls struggle with this more than men do. I think I read somewhere like 9% or something crazy like that nationwide struggle with some form of eating disorder, which I think 9% seems pretty high still. But if somebody's listening to you right now, what's the best way that they can connect with you? What's the best way they can continue on this conversation?
I always offer people a 1 hour self-love discovery call. That's just a 1 hour to see kind of where they're at, what they're doing, like if we'd like to work together, if you've had a coach, if you've not had a coach, just really kind of get into the nitty-gritty of really what's going on. Maybe you're not ready for recovery yet, but is there anything that you need help with? Maybe you just need resources, and I can give you some resources. But really, it's just the 1 hour discovery call to just get to know that person. And that's what I always offer everybody. It's free. Definitely take advantage of that. My business is Wisdom in Wellness, the letter N. You can find me at wisdomandwellnessky@gmail.com. You can email me and put self-love call.
And there's a podcast too, right? Where folks can hear you. Maybe speak to that.
There's a podcast called What's Eating You. So we go into about eating disorders and some self-care and some self-love and confidence and a variety of different things. So that's on Spotify and Apple and Anchor and several different places. Let's see. I'm not good at plugging myself over here. I'm like, I don't know. It's too early. I'm not good at like plugging in who I am. Who am I? I call myself the anti-diet advocate. That's boom. That's what I call myself.
I got to be candid. I've been asked that a few times too through the years of not only this show, but every now and then I get asked to be a guest, which, by the way, I shouldn't say this, but I will. I don't like being the guest. I like being the one asking the questions. Yeah. I don't want to have to. It's tough coming up with sometimes stuff about yourself. So I get that. It's good stuff. But Kayla, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming on today. Thank you for being vulnerable with us. If years later, your kid, back when you're in the Mamaw nursing home,
Yep.
and it's towards the end of life, what's one lesson that you hope they really learn from you that you could maybe pass along to them?
That's a good question. One lesson they would learn from me, just to be kind, really. That's the first thing that comes in my heart is just be kind to people, be kind to others, and go back to the golden rule, treat others like you want to be treated. I'm super old school, I guess, but that's who I am, is just treat them with respect and kindness. It goes a long way. Maybe you don't see the results then, like you can have a super mean person and you're like, why be nice to them? They're not nice to me. That's hard. You got to turn the other cheek, and like that act of kindness, who knows, 5 years down the road, you may be at the same work, at the same thing, and they'd be like, oh, she was really nice to me. Okay. I remember that. Even though I was mean, she was nice. So I hope that I can help with that.
I think it's so amazing sometimes in life because it's taking that moment. It's taking that extra step, I say, to make an eye contact, to make an impact. As an example, you guys have In-N-Out out there. I hope you know what In-N-Out is, right?
I know there's an In-N-Out burger. We don't have that.
But have you been to one?
No.
It's like heaven on earth. It truly is. They make really good hamburgers. We've had one for a couple of years now here in Oregon, which was kind of a big deal because we had to drive I think 2 hours to get to Redding. I say that because I went to In-N-Out the other day during lunch for a guy at work that I was trying to win favor with in some respects. So I bought him lunch. Nobody's ever done that, I'm sure, right?
No.
Never. Anyway, so I get in there and this young kid's behind the counter. Nowadays it's hard to find good people. Let's be honest. I mean, in our restaurants these days and just really anywhere. And I walked up to him and his name's Dominic. I read his name tag, so it could be his real name. I don't know, but we're going to stick with Dominic because that was on his tag. And I said, hey, Dominic, how are you today, man? And he's like, oh, good. And he kind of had this glazed look in his eyes, like he was a little frazzled. And I said, hey, Dominic, how many days have you been here, man? He's like, this is day 2. I was like, how's it going? He's like, oh man, it's great. It's awesome. It's so good. Like, oh, I love it. And I was like, no. How's it really going? And he kind of stopped and I could just see it just fall off of him. We've all maybe had that moment in life. He's like, man, it's awful. It's awful. I'm like, how awful, buddy? He's like, people are mean. People are just awful to me. And I'm only on my second day, man. I'm like, hey man, I'm on day whatever at my new job. Not very long. I'm like, it'll get better. Hang in there. And he's like, man, thank you. And I don't say that to oh, look what I did and you need to do it and you're sucky for not doing that. But I'm just saying it's that extra moment to say to somebody you matter and you care, right? I mean, maybe speak to that for your mindset. What does that do when you hear that?
I think it's like a relief almost that someone cares, because everyone needs someone to know that they care. I feel like that people want to be cared about. I mean, that's human nature. You want someone to care. And it's hard to know, even still for me, if somebody is cruel and mean, I don't get it. Why I'd be mean? I think going that extra mile, and I say putting yourself in the other people's shoes, I'm reading the name, but really and truly putting yourself in their situation, and just, even if it's a simple thank you or, hey, you did great today, or, just a little motivation, you don't know what that can do for them. Like they may have had a really crappy day at work and a really bad home life and all these things, but you take a little extra mile and say thank you or ask them how they really are without hiding it. That can make a really bad day a really good day for somebody. You just may not even know. So yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I just think that fit into what you're saying so well, is that the idea that, you know, if somebody comes along and really is genuine and saying, listen, I want to sit in your pain.
Yes.
But I'm not going to let you sit in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let you, I mean, you can play in the puddle,
Mm-hmm.
you can splash around in it, you can get real dirty, but I'm not going to let you stay dirty.
Mm-hmm.
You're beyond that. Kayla, we have this silly way to end the show. It is no longer called a game because I've been told multiple times that it is not a game.
Is it a test?
That it's just a silly way to end the show. So no more game. We're not playing games on the show here. We're just having silliness at the end, and this is just something fun we do. Because again, I've been told repeatedly it's not a game, it's just silliness.
But I love games.
I know, I do too. But it's not a game. So formerly called a game, not a game anymore, but it is a silly thing we called Senseless. It's the end of the show. So here it is. We ask these 5 random questions about your senses that involve your senses in some way, and then 6 is the wild card. I tried my very best because I know you were from Kentucky. I tried to at least get a UK cup, but I couldn't find one.
Well,
I don't think they make them anymore. And then I tried to find a Louisville Cardinal one, and
don't make them. Only in Kentucky.
I wouldn't drink from one, so maybe that's it. So don't fill your drink. Speaking of drinks, you okay using a North Carolina cup?
I'll settle for today.
Ooh. It is a broken vessel, though. I will show you that. I don't know
Well,
if that comes across. It fell off a shelf, and it literally split down the middle perfectly. And so now it's a broken vessel like you and I.
darn it. Well, they're super. Thank God for super glue or whatever else is.
I think we put Gorilla Glue on it. But anyway, here we go. All right, so I'm going to roll for you. All right, and you got this question here, and it's question number 6,
Okay.
which is our wild card, and it's this. One person, don't try to sneak 2. That is a rule of this silliness. There are some rules that we have to follow. So one person you would love to spend the weekend with, and what would you do?
Oh, man. That's a really, really good question. I'm going to go with I guess because I'm into this whole motivation mode lately, but I'm going to say Tony Robbins because he would be yell at me and put me in the right direction somewhere, someplace. I don't know what he would do, really. I don't know. I've never been to one of his trainings. I know they're super long, but I watch his videos sometimes. So I don't know. Maybe we would just learn how to learn more about motivation. I don't know. It probably sounds super boring. I don't even know what I would do. I don't know.
I'd put it on Tony. Let Tony
Yeah, he'll pick it out.
That's a good one.
Go to dinner. I'll just eat. That's fine. Just pick something else that's really expensive that I haven't tried.
He, for you, resonates on some level as far as motivation and things of that nature?
Yeah, because I've really wanted to get into more motivational speaking myself. So just to do more talks and workshops and those things. So follow him on several things and watch him and other people too. But yeah, I think he would be a good one to start with.
Well, guys and gals, kids and campers alike, that is it. That is all. That is our show today. So I want to ask you a question before we jump on out of here, before you stop hitting play on your player, whatever you're listening on, or your radio, or before you shut me off. Don't shut me off just quite yet. Just let me ask this question. When's the last time you stood in front of a full-length mirror and did not judge what you were wearing, or what you looked like, or what your hair looked like, or what your eyes looked like, or what your body looked like? When's the last time you did that? Has it been a week? Has it been a month? Has it been a year? Have you never stopped judging yourself? On some level, do you always? And I know we shouldn't always say never and always, but have you ever stopped? Let me be candid here for a minute. I put on a shirt the other day, starting a new job. It's official now. I'll tell you guys, I've started a new job. And I put on a shirt the other day. We have to wear polos from time to time at this job. And my wife looked at it and she goes, no, can't wear that. I was like, why? She's like, are you looking at it, or are we watching the same thing? Now listen, I love my wife dearly. You know this. And she's my helpmate. There's a reason she's called the helpmate. She's there to help. But she was right. I shouldn't have worn it. And it wasn't like it was a bad, inappropriate shirt. It just didn't look right. Now I could have taken that further and I could have run with that in a wrong direction. And I'm just asking you that question. Are your thoughts running amok when it comes to your body image, when it comes to who you are, when it comes to what you're about? Are you the Judge Judy, the Judge Wapner even back in the day, of your body and who you are? Because if you're still judging it in a negative way and you're now doing dramatic things, and I think you can follow my dramatic thing analogy, can you do me a favor and just call my friend Kayla? Just give her a shot. See what she can do to help. She's walked through that road, and I think she'd be a great resource for you. Just a thought. And here's another thought. before we go, remember this. Don't forget. Remember, when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do get a different perspective on life. Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned till next week when we walk in other people's shoes.